Welcome to today's webinar, Building a Cost-Effective Mobile Wayfinding App. My name is Bob Dearly. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at MobileSmith. And I'm going to take you through today MobileSmith's solution for mobile wayfinding. This is actually a huge buzz around this use case right now in healthcare, outside of healthcare. I was recently, a couple weeks ago, in Dallas at a C-level hospital association meeting, and I got to speak with 13 to 15 C-level executives that run health systems around the country, and wayfinding was on top of mind for most of the folks that we talked about. Provides a great touch point for the technology of people carrying their smartphones into a complex building to try to find their way, and a lot of people want to implement it. We're going to take you through our solution through the next 25-30 minutes. We will have questions after I'm done. I think the slides will go on for about 25-30 minutes. We'll take questions. So please feel free to add them into the question tab on the webinar. So today what we're going to explore, we're going to go through the current state of wayfinding. About a year and a half ago, I didn't really know what the term was. So I think it's important that we define it. How MobileSmith, our platform, how our clients have used our platform to build some really cool solutions that quickly and cost effectively provides very good wayfinding in their building. We have a case study with Sarasota Memorial app. We're going to take you through one of our clients that implemented this. And then I think it's important that we talk about the future of mobile wayfinding. I think this specific solution is only going to be needed for a few years, really, until Apple and Google put it into their maps. And we're probably a few years out from that. But let's talk you through this a little bit. What is wayfinding? Well, I'll have the real technical term above here. It's the orientation, route decision, route monitoring, and destination recognition. What does that mean? It's a system of signs and prompts designed to assist you with all of the above in large facilities. Think of airports, health systems, hotels, convention centers. There's always a series of signs and color coding to get you to where you need to be. And that works pretty effectively. There's really nothing wrong with that solution. Current solutions out there now, use color, symbolism, floor and ceiling cues, visual cues, landmarks, signage, even seeing some digital kiosks. When you go into a mall that you're unfamiliar with, right, you have that, you're looking for that big directory with the huge schematic and the big red dot that says you are here and here's where I go find the Finish Line store or J. Crew or whatever. Obviously, there's some challenges that, especially with technology. Obviously, you have to physically construct these and place them on physical locations. It takes up space. You need to be multilingual. And then it's costly to maintain and update. Now, obviously, if you have a building, you're not, it's pretty stable. But, there are renovations, especially in large buildings. There's always renovations going on, and how do you reroute people, detour people to where they need to go effectively and efficiently is a challenge with this solution. Some of the mobile wayfinding solutions you're seeing popping up around now, custom-built solutions need specific hardware, need usually specific specialized Wi-Fi that could track you very accurately inside. Current GPS can't really accurately track you at all inside a building, which I think does a good job outside of the building. So to really find your way digitally, you need to spend a lot of money for both hardware and software. You got to get very sophisticated digital maps, 3D maps in the system, and a lot of these solutions are offering turn-by-turn directions. And some of the problems with these solutions is actually the picture I'm seeing right here. Do you really want to be walking in, maybe hundreds of other people in a huge building, with your phone up at your face? kind of tracking where it's tracking you and trying to see where your left turn is coming up. I think that's a little bit overkill, to be honest. I don't think I would use it. Also, the expense and the sophistication of tuning, the specialized Wi-Fi hardware to get it accurate enough, the cost and the length to implement. Again, a lot of the healthcare executives I was talking with, a few of them were implementing these solutions, and they were talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars they were spending. One of them was mentioning it was getting close to $1 million. It was taken way over a year to implement. Yeah, I'm not sure that's really needed in this day and age, especially with Google and Apple most likely going to be offering this kind of capability in their maps in the next few years. So our clients have found ways to get around this, and let me kind of introduce you who we are, just in case you're not familiar. We're not a wayfinding solution provider per se. We don't have an app that we sell. We sell a platform that allows non-programmers to quickly create iPhone and Android applications for their customers, patients, employees. We're actually the #1 provider of branded hospital apps in the U.S. So a lot of hospitals are currently making urgent care apps, general hospital apps, physician directory apps, doctor on call, cancer care. So a lot of different types of solutions are being built in our platform. And now some of them are starting to build wayfinding solutions, and given the buzz that we're seeing on it and some of the expense people are putting into wayfinding, I think our platform is actually pretty cool. You also see on the bottom here that some of our clients have won awards with our platform. We're very proud of that. They'd be up against custom app designers. They're winning awards using the MobileSmith platform to build iPhone and Android apps for their patients and customers. Well, let's now get back into wayfinding. The solution that our clients are using is a few things. One is our platform leverages the cutting-edge geofencing and beacon technologies that are getting more ubiquitous now, that are easily integrated already into our platform. You don't need to spend significantly on costly digital infrastructure. Beacons are very cost-effective. And then they're launching wayfinding apps, in a matter of weeks. And we'll take you through a case study in a minute. And then in any of the apps that our clients are providing, they could turn this technology on. It doesn't have to be a wayfinding app. It could be part of another app. If that other app requires you to find a place, usually you could implement that in pretty quickly. So it's very flexible. You can also use it to make changes. Like if you've set up a wayfinding in your facility and then you're going through a renovation in one of your departments, you can update your maps and change your points very easily and put in some detours without having the end user download another app. Next time they come to the facility, they tap on the app. They would have the latest maps in there of where they need to get to. So let's get through that a little bit. Let me talk about geofencing first if you're not familiar with it. It's a macro location technology of 50 meters or more in radius. It leverages or utilizes the current GPS chipsets in the smartphones. You create a virtual enclosure around the physical location. So in this example here, it looks like a campus. And there was a perimeter that was created in red here around the set of buildings. Maybe that's the facility that you want to have the geofence around. And in our platform, you could easily draw that on a map of where you want it, a street level map of how you want to create that perimeter. Now what it does is it senses a phone with the GPS enabled on the phone. As it crosses into the fence or through the fence into the location, it could then send a message, a push message to the end user. Welcome to the hospital. You can see that as you're coming into the parking garage. Maybe it could give you a welcome message. A virtual enclosure, it could then signal you. It'll signal you as you arrive. It could also signal as you depart. Thank you for coming, to the event. Tap here to learn more or whatever. And then it also could measure dwell times. How long is that phone inside that enclosure, inside the fence? And that's important specifically if you want to look at heat maps, how long people are staying at a certain place. That data is very important that you could quickly collect utilizing a geofence. Now, beacons is actually a micro-location technology for less than 50 meters in radius, and this is really where you could now do this inside of a building. And it's a radio-based enclosure based on low-cost Bluetooth 4 technology. We partnered with a company called Gimbal, and these beacons are about the size of a deck of cards. In some cases, they're actually even a quarter size, really small, kind of like a key fob that you put on your keychain. And you pop in a battery, like a watch battery, and the battery will last for like 2 years. And you could place these anywhere, and they only cost $20 to $30. The small quarter-size ones, I think, cost less than that, $10. And then, as you see the example here on the schematic, if you want to alert when you're getting close to that room in red, you see the concentric circles, and you could program this in terms of how large you want the radius or the diameter, the range to be, up to 50 feet. It could be as close as inches, or maybe you even tap on the beacon itself. And as soon as you cross into that radius there, as you see, of those concentric circles, it could, again, send you a push notification and alert you about something. Welcome to maternity, check in at the desk to your left, for example. So that's micro proximity. So you got geolocation or geofences, that's macro. Usually you'll set it up around the facility as you're going into the parking lot and you're entering the space. And the micro, you could place beacons all throughout your building or your health system to generate messages. Now let's look at the solution a little bit more detailed for Sarasota Memorial app. So in the example before, and if you've been looking at Wayfinding and some of these other specialized technology companies that are offering these more complex and costly wayfinding solutions, the turn-by-turn directions, you'll see here this is based upon a set of messages and then popping up the appropriate map at that time. So in this case, you see that a message pops up, you hit the beacon, and at Sarasota Memorial Hospital it'll say the location, tap here to see the location map of the B elevators, and you tap on that on your phone, and then that map to the right pops up and it shows where you're located. Now this is just a static map, it's very simple. If you have a schematic already of your hospital or building, you can bring that into Photoshop with a creative person, and they could put, the you are here, and then they could put any kind of annotation on that map to kind of say, yeah, keep going in the direction that you're going. And so what they've done, they've strategically placed beacons around the facility that would give them different intersections. So when you're using your GPS in your car, you're not really watching so much of you driving down the highway and tracking your distance. You're kind of waiting for that next intersection to pop up, right, and have the voice start talking to you. Okay, get ready in 1,000 feet to turn right. And that's really the next thing that you want to do. So think of our wayfinding solution similar to that. As you cross a different beacon, that's maybe an important point that you need to take action. It'll send a push message. You don't necessarily have to have your phone out either. You can have it in your pocket and it'll buzz. You can feel the vibration, or you can hear a ping. You take it out, you tap on it, and it'll say, here's where you're at right now, and it'll show you the right relative map. As that's how Sarasota has done it, to say, keep going in the direction that you're going. You could add text. You could do a lot of different things. Let's talk about some of the different scenarios now that some of our clients are thinking about. In this case, you see it's on the right. It's not really just a schematic map. It's actually an image. This is a lobby way to an office building. And as you walk in, sometimes you're not sure oriented where the elevator is. So again, a beacon, as you're walking in the building, a beacon fires off and you tap on it. You see it says tap to see a helpful visual guide to the first floor, explore the flyout menu for more options. So you tap on that and it brings up, you know, this nice picture now. So now you can orient yourself pretty easily because you're looking at it as well, because this is exactly the view you have as you're entering the lobby. And as you see, there's a nice overlay arrow that says, yeah, there's the elevators there on the right. And then it also has little bubbles up there to kind of help you orient out. It's like, okay, the water closet or the bathroom's there on the right. I see there's a directory that I could go to if I really need to see who's in the buildings, so on and so forth. So here, this was the creativity of another client that wanted an experience like this versus a schematic map. So again, it's how our clients are thinking through the kind of interaction that they want. And then actually this app, as you go up the elevator and you're looking for a suite 208, there'll be another picture that shows up that'll have all the little bubbles of all the different suites that you could orient yourself on. And then even when you get into the office complex itself, it'll show you a room of it'll have an image of the floor of the room that you're in and where you find certain office locations. So they decided to use, you know, true image type of an interface for their mapping with overlaying arrows, and it really on top of the image, it was really a good graphics team that was able to do that. That gives the experience much different. So I'm sure there's other scenarios that our clients are thinking up that haven't been thought up yet, how you leverage this. Again, you use the beacons and the geofences to trigger a geo-specific event that you want them to take action or to learn more or to orient themselves to where they currently are. You could do that with a text message, and then you could, once the tap happens, you could then bring them into a more richer experience as you see here. And I even think you could add video to that, just like you can with other digital media as well. So that is the different solutions that are being implemented, and all, again, without leveraging programmers. And if you're a MobileSmith customer and you're building apps, you could easily build a wayfinding app with our platform, leveraging the capabilities that you're already are licensing with the full platform. So there's other things, like I said, this wayfinding experience of getting you from point A to point B in an efficient way, I think is very important. But once now that you have implemented beacons, you could pop a beacon next to the gift shop in your building, and as soon as someone goes near it, it could offer you a coupon. You could put a beacon next to your cafeteria. As soon as you get within close range of that, it could say, hey, stop by for a snack, tap here to see the daily specials, and then a menu could pop up. It doesn't have to be a map after you get the alert from crossing into a geofence or a beacon radius. You know, some of our hospitals are thinking about, hey, you know, we already have a cancer center app for patients going through chemotherapy and their families. You know, we'll have a special wayfinding to get to the specific areas in the cancer center. And then, oh, we also are creating a maternity app for expectant mothers. And so a lot of our clients are creating very segmented apps for specific populations. And then you could add wayfinding in each one of those. That's for birthing center, it's really about getting to the birthing center. So there's a lot of different ways that you could leverage these technologies. And they use the same beacons. You could set up different messages. But again, these beacons, compared to the other infrastructure costs that people have been doing, you know, I think Sarasota Memorial haven't spent more than $100, $150 on their beacons to implement that solution. And then as long as you're a licensed MobileSmith customer, there's no incremental cost for end users, you know, using the beacons, or how many people are actually going inside a geofence or a beacon area. Coupons, automated check-in and queue placement is interesting as well. One of our clients that has an emergency urgent care app, you know, the app today, how it works is it'll use GPS to determine the closest proximity to where you're currently located, of the closest urgent care center in the area. And then it also offers the wait times for each of the urgent care, so you can make a very informed decision of where you want to go. But wouldn't it be nice, and they're starting to think about how to do this, is have some check-in procedures. So you can have a geofence now around that urgent care, and as soon as it sees you going through the geofence, it can offer you up a little form to check in. Put your name in, your whatever information they would want to collect, and then you might not even have to go to check in physically. You can just go sit down, and they have your name now, and they'll call you when you're ready. So they're, one of our clients is experimenting with that as a use case. You could track time spent by staff or patients in specific areas of your facility. One of the C-level, I think it was a chief operating officer of a health system, was really interested in wayfinding around the analytics. Our platform with our integration with Gimbal provides analytics, so you could see, heat map type of information. So if you have hundreds of people, using the wayfinding app, you can see how long are they in the waiting room. What's the average dwell time? What's the the max and the min, and you could kind of look at kind of throughput analysis of your facility. And they were very interested in trying to figure out use cases and how to take this data and make sure there's not bottlenecks of certain areas as patients are moving through the hospital. So we're just scratching the surface on these use cases. I'm excited about it. I really think that this is a real cool use of technology, and I really like the fact that once you have an idea, again, that's really the promise of MobileSmith, you can take that idea and implement it into apps very quickly. And as soon as you get certified on our platform, you could do it, within the same day you could have, in some cases, a sample app that you could be showing around. And I think that's the power of the technology today. Now the future, I've kind of intimated this a little bit or predicted what it is. We strongly believe, and we already see it, Google is already starting to create maps inside large buildings like the Javits Center and airports and things like that. It's not accurate yet, but they will get it accurate over time with more revisions of the hardware on these devices. And just like with GPS, remember MapQuest was like the first online mapping type of tool years ago. I don't even think they're in business anymore. And TomTom and Garmin, how those businesses kind of got eaten up by the operating systems of Google and Android. I really believe the same is going to happen with wayfinding and these really expensive solutions that you're implementing. Where you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. You've got to make sure there's more value than just getting someone to the right place in your facility. And I'm not seeing that yet. I don't think you're going to have an ROI to do that. So I think our solution and the flexibility of it is going to provide a very, very adequate solution for you in this space and very quickly. So really the next step is let me take some questions now, but we'd love to interact with you guys more even outside of this call to understand what some of your requirements are. What happened there? Kind of got knocked off, I guess. Anyway, what questions do you have that I could field right now? So some people is like, how do I get started on this? And you're talking, some people are asking about pricing. Again, this is not a specific solution that we have a price on where you get an app or you get a whole solution. This is, if you're a MobileSmith customer already, you could just build an app and you can enable wayfinding. We could show you how to do that if you don't know how to do that as a MobileSmith customer, or if you're interested in becoming a MobileSmith customer because you want to, start, deploying apps, in your business for your customers, patients, administration, employees, get with us on that. We could help you implement that. We have some starting points on some of the use cases that we've talked about: cancer center, urgent care, doctor on call, as well as the wayfinding, so we could get you going very quickly. But that'll be part of a monthly subscription fee. One of the questions was, how do you go about testing the beacons? Now, it's not a Wi-Fi beacon, I think someone said. The way you test the app is you would purchase the beacons, and we have a process to help you purchase them. It's pretty quick. You could get a few beacons for a relatively little bit amount of money. As soon as you get them, you can bring them right into your lab. You pop a battery in. I think they actually come with batteries. And then there's just a way that you provision them in the platform where you take just the ID of the beacon and tie it to your app. And then once you run your app and you have your Bluetooth on, you should be seeing the messages fire off. Now you can go again and work on the radius. How wide of a broadcast do you want? Do you want 25 meters, or do you want 2 meters? And you could play with that by changing that around and seeing the sensitivity of it. But it's actually a pretty easy way to test. Does the beacon detect what direction you are walking? That's a good one. No, not particularly. There are ways that you could set up a couple beacons to infer the direction they are walking. Obviously, if they fired, like if you have a intersection that's popping up, they could be coming from 4 different directions. And if all those are very important to the route you're giving, you could clearly have 4 beacons that are not right at that intersection point, but could be before it. And so if they fire it before it, then obviously you're going to have to tweak the RF a little bit here to make sure that they don't trample on each other. Now there is rules you put in place to determine if you're coming from this direction and the signal is stronger than the other one, that it'll default to the stronger signal. And most likely that is the beacon that's closest and the one you want firing off. But there is a little bit of trial and error that you have to do there. And it's not that difficult. I'm not an RF person. We were able to do it pretty easily here with a little bit of trial and error to set them up appropriately. Another one, is there a tutorial for creating wayfinding? We can help you with that. We could share with you what has been implemented. There really isn't, to be honest. It's what you want to do with it and the type of traffic you want to manage, and then you figure out where you want to put your points. We've done that quite a few times with we're helping some of our clients. So we could definitely share that with you of how that gets set up. But it's really not that hard to get started. Usually, a lot of our clients, like Sarasota Memorial is one of those, they didn't start with putting 20 beacons in. They started with a geofence and at the emergency room. They started at certain areas to get a feel for it, and then they just kept adding beacons as they moved along. There's value you could provide at different locations of your building, and you start there first, and you do it little at a time, and then you add beacons to get more and more sophisticated. I got time for one more question. Yes, I think if there's a question of, is this going to be rebroadcasted? Yeah, we record our webinars, and then we're going to put it up on our website most likely in the next few days, so stay tuned to that. I know our Jan, our marketing director, and her team will be engaging with you guys, with some emails around, next steps here, and a lot of that will have the information around when it's going to be up on the web. Anyway, great. I appreciate the time. We had a lot of people show up today, which was exciting. So I think I'm right that a lot of people have some good interest in wayfinding. I think it's an exciting area to start engaging in a more sophisticated mobile solution. Thank you very much, and have a great day. And hopefully we'll be talking to you soon.